having technical difficulties. I'm having technical difficulties. Please give me one moment. I apologize, folks. Please give me 1 second while we load our PowerPoint. Thank you for your patience. 1 moment, please. Okay. Thank you for your patience, folks. Let's see. I'm just going to leave it open like this. I am having a lot of difficulty right now. I really appreciate it. Okay, there we go. It works. Okay, so I'm going to walk us through our today's agenda. From 3 to 3:10 p.m., we will have the welcome, the series mission, the land acknowledgement, and our safe and brave space policy. From 3:10 to 3:50, guest speaker, Dr. Lara. From 3:50 to 4 p.m., we will have our question and answer portion. From 4 to 4:25 p.m., we will have breakout rooms and slides. From 4:25 to 4:30, we will have a closing statement, and there will be an optional debrief from 4:30 to 5 p.m. The HSS Equity Speaker Series mission, a series of talks where administration, faculty, staff, and students come together as a community to broaden our awareness of equity issues and develop action plans that we each can use to enact change against racism. The land acknowledgement territory acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement is a formal statement that recognizes and respects Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of a given geographic area and the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their ancestral territories. For Mount Sac, we recognize the land where our campus is situated as Gabrielino Tongva. According to the tribe's website, Gabrielino Tongva lands extended from Malibu, Laguna Beach, and to the San Bernardino Mountains. Furthermore, the Gabrielino Tongva have been indigenous to the Los Angeles Basin and South Channel Islands for 7,000 years. I also encourage you all to acknowledge the land that you are currently residing in if you are outside of the Mount Sac area. This is a safe space, a brave space. The HSS Speaker Series is a harassment and oppression-free space derived from respect. That means anyone who come to the series is agreeing to work and care to secure a safe and brave space for all participants. Here are some ways to foster a safe, brave space. Acknowledge and respect the emotional well-being of others. Amplify Black and Indigenous and people of color experiences, etc. Background images in Zoom should reflect the values of mutual respect and civility. Be conscious of privileges. Be intentional about not inflicting harm on others. Engage in challenging conversations with mutual self-respect. Let all share, especially our students. So now we will begin our presentation, engaging students through equity efforts. So I am going to introduce Dr. Lara, who's our guest speaker today. Dr. Lara is the Associate Dean of Student Success and Equity at Mount San Antonio College. He brings with him over 15 years of higher education experience through 3 levels of the California higher education system. Eric has worked as the director of the Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement Program at College of the Canyons, the director of Student Affairs and Electrical Engineering at UC San Diego, and he started his career as the retention coordinator and academic advisor for the Maximizing Engineering Potential program at Cal Poly Pomona. Dr. Lara holds a doctoral degree in education with an emphasis in higher educational leadership from the University of Southern California, as well as a master's in education and bachelor's in electronics and computer engineering technology, both from Cal Poly Pomona. If you all have any questions for our guest speaker, please submit your questions to the public chat or message myself, Betsabel, for anonymous questions. During the Q&A portion, you will have the option to raise your hand. And before we turn it over to Dr. Eric Lara, we will be pulling up a poll. If you all can please answer the poll function, and we'll let Dr. Lara take it away.
Anyone who needs to use or would like to use the Otter AI streaming, it is now working. Yay! And Dr. Lara, if you'd like to start sharing your screen now, it would be a great time.
Okay.
So I'll just wait another minute or so to let people finish responding to the poll. So this is awesome. It looks like a lot of people, the majority of people, are aware of our resources and know how to reference them and refer people to them. We do have a little bit of confusion, it seems like, not tons, about the differences between equity and equality, but the majority, again, the vast majority of people have an understanding of that. So that's a great place for us to be starting from. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Dr. Lara.
All right, welcome everyone. So really quick to the moderators on my screen, I still see the poll. Can I close that, or is that being shared everywhere?
Yes, so everyone needs to individually close their own. They can, you can keep it open if you would like to continue looking at it, but you can close it if you'd like.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you again. Welcome everyone. That's what I mentioned. My name is Eric Lara. I am the Associate Dean for Student Success and Equity. And my presentation today is going to be how to engage our students through equity efforts. Before I begin the presentation, I do want to thank the HSS staff who put this on. Alejandra, Kara, and Francesca, thank you for doing this for our campus, and for inviting me today. Betsabel, I want to thank you for being the moderator today. As she mentioned, Betsabel is one of our program specialists in the Equity Center, and want to publicly congratulate her for just recently graduating with her Master's in Counseling from USC. I also want to thank and acknowledge the past speakers of this equity series. It's been great. I love that we have been able to view this online after it's been presented. You post this publicly. So to Dr. Carolyn Hoover, to the student panels, to Dr. Mika Stewart, thank you for doing this also. So I'm honored to be next in line as part of the Equity Speaker Series. As I'm going through my PowerPoint, through my presentation, there may be some times where I look to the side. I have my second screen up with a few notes, so I apologize in advance if I'm not looking at the camera directly. It's just that I'm looking at some of the notes depending on what slide I am on. So once again, how to engage our students through equity efforts. And I'm speaking about Mount SAC specifically. So a little bit of what I'm gonna be sharing today is who am I and how did I get here, and how did I get here to Mount SAC specifically? What is my role on campus? What does it mean to be an Associate Dean of Student Success and Equity? And the majority of the presentation, this is where we want the discussion to come into play. This is where we want to kind of engage in different perspectives and thinking across faculty, staff, and students, is student equity on campus and our various equity efforts that we have across student services, instruction, non-credit. I will share some data, and a lot more data you're going to see. So I work closely with the research office. They've done a tremendous job of providing data, not only for myself today, but for the campus and specifically the Student Equity Committee, which I am a co-chair of, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then also end it with some growing programs and services. Some of these programs that you may not be aware of necessarily, or you've heard of, but you may not know exactly what they do or who they service, what the function is of this program or service. So we'll talk about that. So I wanted to purposely go back and let you know who I am and where I come from and why I feel that that my background and my experience, where I grew up, how it formed who I am today, the reason I became an educator, the reason I left industry to do what I do and have a passion for what I do. I come to work every day loving what I do. I wake up and I love what I do. I love being an educator. I love working with the students that I work with. And here's the reason why. I grew up locally. I grew up in La Puente in a single parent household, low income, grew up on food stamps, grew up on welfare. I took the bus to school. Going to college took me 5 years to graduate. 4 of those years I was on the bus. My mom had a 1972 Mercury Montego that would heat up if she would drive over the hill off of the 10 freeway. So I was forced to take the bus to school. I ended up going to Cal Poly Pomona, and for me, as a high school student, I'm always honest with my students. As a high school student, I did the bare minimum. I did the bare minimum to just get to the Cal State. I never had ambition to go to the UC. I didn't know enough. I wasn't educated enough on the community college, which looking back, that's probably where I should have ended up. That's probably where I should have gone straight out of high school. But I did the bare minimum, and I got into Cal Poly through a special admit program, through the EOP program as a special admit. And I want to take a few minutes here, it's about 3.5 minutes, and share a video with you all of my journey, my first year of college. It took me a long time. It took me a few years after I graduated to share this story, to be comfortable, to open up about what happened my first year of college. And I share it now when I present, specifically when I present at Cal Poly and at EOP. I share it to the students to let them know that there are many bumps in the road. There are going to be people who tell you that you probably shouldn't be here. There are people who tell you that you should probably give up. But you're always going to have that one person or two that's going to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And you're going to have that person that you think is absolutely crazy because of what they're telling you, because you don't believe in yourself just yet. And that was my story. So let me take a few minutes to share who I am.
I always dreamed I would become an engineer. So when I got kicked out of college after my second quarter, I knew it was just another bump in the road. I always had a passion for math, science, and tinkering with electronics. But the road to the stream would not come easy. Senior year of high school, I sent out my applications, but there was only one school I was waiting to hear from. Every day, I would rush home and eagerly check the mailbox. Finally, it came, an envelope that said, California State Polytechnic University, Pomona. I quickly opened it to read congratulations, but after reading and rereading the entire letter, congratulations was nowhere to be found. I had not been accepted to the one school I wanted to attend. My dream of becoming an engineer would not be a reality. But I fought back. I called the Educational Opportunity Program office, told them that Cal Poly Pomona and engineering was all I ever wanted, and asked for their help. They took the risk. I was provisionally admitted to Cal Poly Pomona. It was the happiest day of my life. I was going to be an engineer. Unfortunately, I foolishly took for granted the opportunity I was given and never took school seriously. I placed into remedial algebra. This will be a breeze, I thought. I did not pay much attention in that class and focused on my other courses instead. D+ was the grade I received after my first quarter. I needed a C to move on to the next math class. No problem. I would simply retake the course I just spent 10 weeks absorbing. How difficult could it be? It was my second quarter of college and I was loving life. 10 weeks passed. The quarter ended and I was sure I had done well. D was the grade I received in that same math course. Since this was a remedial course, I only had 2 chances to pass, and I had just blown both of them. I had been kicked out of the only university I ever wanted to attend, and my dream of becoming an engineer was over. But again, I fought back. I attended 3 local community colleges in the span of 5 months. I needed to pass English, communications, and math before Cal Poly would readmit me. English, passed. Communications, passed. Math, failed. Again. 3 times in a row. Was engineering really for me? Yes, I still knew in my heart that it was. On my 4th attempt, I finally conquered the math course that had nearly destroyed my dream. I proudly took my transcripts back to Cal Poly and was readmitted. It was that fight that helped lead me to where I am today. An engineering degree in one hand and my doctoral degree in the other. Looking back, I now realize that it was that fight that taught me my greatest lesson. To always keep fighting.
So that's me. That's who I am, and that was my introduction to college. 18 years old, and the one university that had accepted me 6 months later was kicking me out. And what I realized years later is that in the eyes of the grand university, in the eyes of Cal Poly, I was just a number. I was just another applicant coming in that didn't make it, got kicked out, failed courses, and that was it. Now, luckily, I had a support program. I had EOP. I had an advisor in Becky Cutler who believed in me, who fought for me, who was there for me to speak to talk to, and to figure it out. You know, growing up low income, growing up first generation, my mom didn't, you know, she had no idea. And actually it wasn't until 10 years ago when I created this video that she found out that I had even been kicked out of college. She never knew during that time. I had been getting on the bus, going to the community colleges, and she was thinking this whole time that I was going to Cal Poly. And it was that led me to leave engineering. I worked as an engineer for 2 years, and while I enjoyed it, I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to become an educator someday. Didn't know what type of an educator, didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that that's where my passion was truly going to be at. And that's how I ended up working at Cal Poly in San Diego and College of Canyons, and now here. But it was because of that I specifically work with the population that I work with. It's specifically why I do what I do. Is we have a lot of students, not just at Mount Stack, but all across colleges and universities who have the ambition and have the drive, but sometimes don't know the path, right? They get lost in the path. and they don't always find that support program that may be needed. And that's one thing I want to discuss today and talk about today is all the different types of support programs that we have on campus, and why do some students find them and gravitate towards them, and why do others don't? How can we get at least the majority, if not all of our students, aware of these programs? They may not want to join, they may not want to sign up, which is fine, but as long as they know about it, that's what we're trying to do. So what is my role on campus? What do I do as an Associate Dean of Student Success and Equity? So primarily, I'm the administrator over 3 of the equity programs in the Student Equity Center. So I oversee the ARISE program, which also has the Anna Peasy grant. I oversee the DREAM program for our undocumented and documented students. And I'm sorry, ARISE is for Asian and Asian Pacific Islander students. And I oversee the REACH program as well for former and current foster youth. Recently, we've merged all of our SEEP funding, as you all may know. So we now have what we call SEEP, which used to be 4 funding streams: student equity, basic skills, triple SP, and triple SP non-credit. So my primary role before the integration of SEEP was to oversee the student equity funding, which is $3.4 million on campus and roughly around 44 different programs and activities that we fund. Along with some of the other one-off activities. So for example, the monthly mentor meetings comes out of student equity funding, so I help coordinate those as well. The student equity speaker series that we try to do, that we have done with Sanchez, with Reina Grande, Sonny Nazario, that is also part of my role on campus. And the other part of my role is as a co-chair for the Student Equity Committee. Eloise Reyes is my faculty co-chair. And some of the other things that are going on right now that you all may be aware of, and we're going to talk about a little bit, is the laptop loan program. So that is a project that we're doing for the entire campus now that we're shut down for COVID, is to provide free technology to all of our students, laptops, iPads, and hotspots. I want to thank Tanya Robles for starting this off. And now Andy Sims is a co-partner of mine doing the technology for the campus. And we'll talk about what that is, how it works, and who's eligible. So student equity at Mount SAC. We do have a student equity committee. It has faculty, staff, and a student on the committee, as well as our co-chairs, as I mentioned. We do have a equity mission statement that was created back when the committee was established. Formally, we've had student equity on campus for many, many years, but once we got student equity funding, which was roughly 2014, when the committee was really getting up and running, the statement is: the diversity of our students, cultural disabilities, ethnic, levels of education preparation, linguistic needs and interests, and socioeconomic conditions should dominate our discussions and be pervasive across all of our activities, outcomes, and planning measures. So with that, we want to start with what is equality versus equity. There tends to be a confusion. Many times people use the word interchangeably. You're trying to talk about equity and you say the word equality, you talk about equality, you say the word equity. So there's a lot of confusion behind it, as we saw in the poll also. So we'll start with equality. Equality is defined as treating everyone the same or giving everyone the same opportunities regardless of their individual attributes. All right. Equity, in contrast, means accounting for differences in individual attributes and experiences for the purpose of achieving equal outcomes. And I took these 2 definitions from an article in 2016 by Benjamin, Dowd, and Whitman out of the USC Center for Urban Education. So to give you a visual of what this means, right? So equality, as I mentioned, is defined as treating everyone the same. So as you can see in the picture, everyone, regardless of who they are, what disability they may or may not have, age, they're given the exact same bicycle. The bicycle is not modified for them. So they're given the same object, the same information. And for them, they're told to work with what you have, work with that bike. Equity means accounting for differences in individual attributes and trying to get the equal outcome. So as you can see here, the bicycles were modified to fit the individual, whatever their need may be, their disability may be. So that in a very, very quick 1 minute, 2 minute nutshell is the difference between equality, the definition difference between equality and equity. So at Mount SAC, what do we do? What do we have? What services are there in place? Now, the services I'm going to show aren't just student equity funded or SEEP funded. Most of them are SEEP funded partially, and then they're funded by grants, general funds, the campus funds, et cetera. If I left anybody off, I apologize. We try to go through this as thoroughly as possible, and I don't believe anybody was left off, but I do want to apologize if we did. So here are some of the Mount SAC student equity efforts. We have access, and the puzzle project specifically, it is for students who are on the spectrum. That is a specific student equity funded or SEEP funded project. ACES, the summer science transfer program, where they typically go to UC Santa Barbara, again, SEEP funded program. Arise, Aspire, and our bridge, which also incorporates our summer bridge program. The book loan and the basic need vouchers, a few of you may not be aware of what that is exactly. And we're going to talk about that. I just put it up here for now. I won't go into details until a few slides later. We have CalWorks, Career and Transfer Center, CARES Act funding. So that's happening right now, the CARES Act funding. We received roughly, I want to say it was $18 million. We have spent about $8.5 million in student grants over the last 2 months. We have Deaf and Hard of Hearing, the DREAM program, El Centro, EOPS Care, financial aid, specifically financial literacy, cash for college. We have the food pantry, honors program, the library, specifically the books on reserve, the weekend hours, and the pop-up libraries. So those three are SEEP funded. The LAC, Minority Male Initiative, MMP is the monthly mentor program, Pride Center. We have REACH for the foster youth students, school continuing ed, non-credit side of the house, SEED, STEM Center, Turk, and then technology loans. Again, I'll talk about that in more detail. Our tutoring centers, veteran center, and our writing center. So we have a lot of different opportunities for students, a lot of programs, a lot of departments for all of our students to use. Now, you see the list. It is a large list. When a student sees this coming in at orientation, at one of the Connect Fours, when they're doing a map, when they're doing a map workshop, they don't know what these acronyms mean. They don't know what these centers mean. So how can we get them to understand what we do? Why do we have so many different tutoring centers all across campus? Why aren't all the tutoring centers located in one building, right? These are questions that we typically get from our freshman students, our incoming students. So as a discussion for today, as we're kind of thinking about today's presentation and during the breakouts, what can we do to have the students and the faculty and the staff have a better understanding so that we can orientate these students, we can send them in the right direction based on what their need is, based on their background, based on their experiences. So I really quickly wanted to provide a student equity funding overview. I'm just going to show this one slide when it comes to the funding. As I mentioned before, we did have 4 different pots of money: basic skills, credit SSSP, non-credit SSSP, student equity, and then we've combined it to what we now call SEEP, Student Equity Achievement Program, for a total of $13 million. And we've had the same funding for almost 5 years. We have not had an increase in funding. We have not had an increase in COLA. So this is where we start running into some issues when it comes to the funding. 5 years ago, when we gave our programs and departments student equity funding, we had a lot more of what's called discretionary money. The salaries weren't as high, COLA wasn't as high. And as the years go on, as the steps increase, as COLA increases, more money that's funded out of student equity or funded out of SEEP goes to salary and benefits. So that means that the discretionary fund is going to decrease. Because the state hasn't given us increase in COLA, we've been at 13 million for 5 years. The discretionary funding is going to continue to decrease and decrease. So That's when you hear some staff or faculty or programs saying, well, we don't have enough money for X or we don't have money for Y. It's not that it's not that we reduce the money, it's that the salary and benefit portion of their allocation has gone up. So the discretionary is going down. So one thing I want to talk about when it comes to what we do specifically on the student services side, but this is in complete collaboration with the entire campus. So many of you have heard of the pyramid of success. So this is something I want to give credit to both Tom Mock and Audrey, our vice presidents, for coming up with at a recent conference that we attended. And we like to call this the Mount Sachs arrow of success. Now, this is something we have internal. This isn't something that is official campus-wide. But just internally in student services, this is kind of how we like to map and see the progression of our students as they come in. So entering, we have access. They access the campus from various means. Then we go to persistence, progress, participation, and we end with success. So what is success? How do students complete, reach their goals, and move on? Transfer, earn the associate's degree, earn the certificate degree, go into the workforce. The 3 Ps, what do they do while they're here? How do they get connected? How do they become aware of the services? What do they do while they're in the classroom? How do they know what direction they're going to go with based on the major or certificate that they're selecting? So this slide here, it is very text heavy. I'm not going to go through all of it. As I mentioned earlier, this presentation will be or is being recorded and will be presented online. So you can always come back and kind of review this a little bit more closely. But just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of what we mean by access. What do we mean by students entering the college? Where do we capture them initially? Through our Connect 4, through our InReach services. We have our info booths the first week of school with our student ambassadors. Participation, how do our students get involved? We have our multi-mentor meetings. We have our minority male initiatives. We have the new student welcomes. We have all of our different resource fairs that's put on by Student Life and the different programs and activities throughout the campus. And then finally, exit, right? Our success. We provide students we provide jobs for our students. So through the SEED program, anywhere from 70 to 90 jobs were created or are created every year, funded through SEED. We provide field trips, both to universities and cultural experiences as well. And then finally, we try to recognize our students as they're getting close to graduation, as they're getting close to transfer. So this is where the data comes into play. I want to share with you, and again, working very closely with the research office and everybody in the research office, I wanted to share what do our numbers look like. We have a lot of different programs on campus. We have a lot of students who utilize it frequently. We see the same students every day. And we have students who drive to campus, go to class, and get back in the car and go home for various reasons. They're working, they have family obligations, or we've heard from some students, they weren't aware of XYZ program. They weren't aware of the services that we offered. They weren't aware that they can come to campus on a weekend, on a Sunday night, and utilize the library. So I wanted to share some of our data over the last 5 years. And a lot of this data we do use in the Student Equity Committee. One of the charges that we have right now is to look at our American Indian, Native American students and why do the numbers appear to be low. So that is a task that the Student Equity Committee has at the moment. We just started it. We just started in the spring semester. And it's going to continue all of next year. And we're looking at preliminary data. We're going to be interviewing students. We're going to be talking to NASA to see kind of where they're at and what services they need. So just to give you a little perspective. So what you see here is course success retention by ethnicity. And the yellow line is the course success when you take out the ethnicity that it is paired up with. So for Latinx, for example, 67.5% of the Latinx students are succeeding in their courses in comparison to everybody else, excluding Latinx, at 76.1%. We also look at what we call percentage point gap. So this is a very quick and easy way to see how far below zero our students are doing or how far above zero our students are doing. As you can see, Asian students at 11.3 and white students at 5.7 are far above the 0 percentage point gap. On the right side of the screen, you're going to see Latinx at 8.6%, Native Hawaiians was minus 7.3%, and Black African American at negative 7.6%. So what does this tell us? What do I look at? What does the research office look at? So ideally, the ultimate goal is to try to place all of these at parity across all parties. We want them to be somewhat at parity. That's the ideal goal. But in reality, what we're trying to get at is to get these negative numbers as close to 0 as possible. And that's the goal year over year. So a lot of talk recently, especially in the last 2 years, has been completion of transfer level English and math. And what you see here is starting in 1819, this number has increased drastically. So what happened in 1819? And just for those of you that may not know, what is a transfer level English? That's 1A, 1A honors, 1B, 1C. So I'll come back to what happened in 1819 in a second. But here's our completion of transfer math in year 1 also, right? And this is part of our funding formula. This is part of the new initiatives that have come forth over the last 2 years. And you could see the increase, a significant jump again in 1819. So here's a better demographic, a better picture. So what ended up happening in 1819? In 1819 is when Mount SAC implemented the AQ for the first time. We started looking at the high school transcripts a little bit more closely as far as what math and English classes students were taking, and then placing them based off of that. With that, especially in 1819, a lot more English courses, English 1A was established, and then this past year, a lot more of the math transfer level courses were established because that's where the students were being placed. So you can see we track cohort by cohort how many students are coming in that are eligible for transfer level, and then you see the percentage of students who persisted and completed within the first year. So that's one of the metrics by the governor's office, is within 1 year. So something else that we look at, and I'll show a closer picture here, is course success rates by gender and ethnicity. And we look at this very closely because what you can see in this graph is that at 83%, you have Asian females. And this is a 5-year average. This is Mount SAC numbers, course success rates. At 78%, Asian males, white female, white male, coming in at 75.3%. And then there's a big gap. There's a big gap between the 75 and the 69. So you have a 6% gap when you get to Latina females all the way down to Pacific Islander females. Now, we have been monitoring and tracking this year after year. So if we were to look back 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, we have seen an increase. Year after year, we've seen a slight increase for the majority of these numbers. Now, the good and the bad. The good is that the numbers are increasing slightly. The bad is that the gap between Latina female, Latinx, African American, and Pacific Islander, that gap between white and Asian has remained the same. That gap has not closed, and if it has, it's been very, very small. And that's where the equity efforts come into play on Mount SAC. That is where all the different seat funding activities and all of the programs that I showed earlier, that's where those programs come into play to close that gap. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So what does this mean when it comes to associate degrees? Again, our numbers are increasing. Now, you can say, and you can look at this and say, well, look at our Latinx numbers. Our Latinx numbers are really big. Why are they so much higher than every other student population? And one answer is just that on our campus as a Hispanic serving institution, right, we have so many more Latinx students. But what percentage of the Latinx population is earning that degree? Now, I don't have that slide at the moment, but that is something that we can get. That is something that we can show, and we have all of that data and information. So this is just another quick snapshot of the associate degrees awarded for our underrepresented minorities versus our non. So non is Asian students and white students. That's how the research office defines non-URM students. I wanted to take the time a little bit to talk about some of the growing programs and services at Mount SAC. These are some of the programs that we all know of, but we may not necessarily know or understand who they serve, what students are eligible to attend, or what they do. So the Basic Needs Coordinator. This is a new position. It's been here at Mount SAC for, I want to say, a year and a half now, and that is Rigo Estrada, working out of Student Life. And anything that you can think of that falls under basic needs, whatever you believe that category means, when it comes to housing insecurities, food insecurities, how fresh, all of our food pantries, that all falls under basic needs. So if any faculty or staff have a student or a question or a referral when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to housing, looking for housing, looking for emergency housing, trying to get students on CalFresh, have questions on a student just lost their housing or is being aged out of the system, you can go to the Basic Needs Coordinator at a Student Life office. The CARES CalWork program, while it has been at Mount SAC for many years, I always use this as an example when I present at the faculty seminars or classified seminars, because with this acronym, with CARE acronym and CalWorks acronym, it doesn't really tell you what they do. It doesn't tell you who they are and who they serve. So for faculty and staff, when you have a student that may tell you, oh, I have to leave early because I have daycare pickup, or I was a little bit late, I apologize, I was late because I had to drop off my son or daughter at school. That right there tells you that they're a parent, or most likely a parent. And these two programs are for our parents on campus, our single parents on campus or parents on campus. And we also have a parents in college club. So just recently, if you don't know, we received Movado pods on campus. So those pods that are private, where moms can go in and breastfeed. So that came out of the efforts of the Parents in College Club through CARE and CalWorks. We also have El Centro. So El Centro is our newest center on campus. It is up and coming. It is currently housed out of the Bridge Program Office. It is our Latinx program for students. So at the moment, what I mentioned earlier, we have fully established African American student program with Aspire. We have our Asia Pacific Islander program with the Rise. We have our foster youth. We have a Pride Center. We have a Dream Center. But up until a year and a half ago, we didn't have a Latinx center. We didn't have an El Centro. And as we all know, we are a Hispanic serving institution. So the question is, and the question has always been, why haven't we had this? Why isn't this more fully established? And there are many reasons, there are many answers, right? The funding is one, historical is another, but that's not an excuse. That is not an excuse as to why we haven't had it. But going forward, we have made the effort and we have put in the funds as a campus to start this and to grow it. Yes, currently it is in a small location, but I can tell you right now that we are looking into growing the center. We're looking to getting additional funds and services for the center. But this is something that many students, because it's so new and many faculty and staff aren't aware that it's on campus. So at Central, any questions? Annabelle Perez is the faculty coordinator over the Bridge program, which is where it's currently housed. And then the Equity Center. The Equity Center isn't just the 4 programs that are in the Equity Center. The Equity Center isn't just about Aspire, Arise, Dream, and Reach. The Equity Center is much more than that. The Equity Center is open to all of our students, faculty, and staff. It's open to the campus to come in, get resources, get additional information, learn about our 4 programs that are in that center. But it is a place where the Student Equity Speaker Series comes out of. It is a place where First Generation Week that we did for the first time last year came out of. And it is also a place where we have basic need cards, the book loan and rental programs, and our toiletry kits. So our basic need cards, if you don't know, and you can ask myself or Betsabal offline for more detailed information. But we have vouchers for Stater Brothers, for Target, Chevron, for on-campus meals, for, there's I think two more, I'm blanking right now, two more cards that we have. These are free to students, but you have to be, they have to be referred to us by a faculty or staff member. So a student cannot just show up for the card, they have to be referred by the faculty or staff. You've made the connection with the student. They have already opened up to you and told you that they're hungry, they haven't eaten in 2-3 days, they don't have enough money to buy basic essentials for themselves or their family or their children. We don't want them to come to our office and have to explain that again. You know, they're not gonna, they may not feel comfortable resharing that private story. So we don't need to know what the reason behind it is. You just contact myself, Betsabel, Catherine Parks, who's my administrative assistant, and let us know, you know, I have a student, here's the name, here's the A number. Can I please get these 2 cards? It is 2 cards per student that we can provide, and you can interchange. You can do 2 Chevron, you can do a Chevron in a Target, for example. So that is something that we do have available for our students. It is available now, even though we're not on campus. We are mailing the cards out. So we just need the home address and we'll mail it to the students. And we have an accessible PDF form where the student will fill out and it'll automatically sign it, so that way we have it as a record that they received the cards. The book loan and rental program, as we know, books are getting very expensive. So we have, through SEEK funding, the opportunity to buy or to rent textbooks for our students that are in need. So these are students who have exhausted all other opportunities and possibilities, that may not have additional money to buy that final textbook, right? So again, in this case, the student can come, the referral can come in, either one works, to myself or to Catherine Parks. And as long as the student is enrolled, we verify it. We verify that the book that they are requesting is on the syllabus as a required textbook. We will rent it for them. We'll rent it for them. What's happening now is it's being mailed to their home, and then they'll mail it back or drop it back off at the end of the semester. So that's another opportunity that the students have available to them. And then finally, toiletry kits. That's the newest service that we have for our students. A lot of these are housed in the counseling office. We have a few in the student life office, and then the majority at the Equity Center. But they're little kits, they're little bags that have washcloths, feminine products, dry shampoo, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste. It's just to have for our students that may be in need. Again, any faculty who would want a kit, who would want a little bag, and this is a little bag that is not see-through, it's not mesh. So if you walk around with it, you don't know what's in there, has a Mount Sac logo, you can drop it in your backpack and no one will see it. Reach out to us, we can give you a couple boxes of these toiletry kits. And we have given some to the food pantry for them to distribute. With that, I am at time, but I did want to provide some of the links to the some of our bigger programs that are for campus-wide that are happening right now during the shutdown. So basic need and food pantry is still happening. We're doing the food pantry once a month. The Equity Center, the vouchers for Target, Chevron, Cárdenas, we're still doing that. The book rental, we're gonna start that in about a week and a half for the fall semester. The Minority Meal Initiative, that is meeting every Monday. Every Monday night, they're still meeting. So if you're interested, they have the website there. And then technology loans. I'll take a quick 30 seconds as my time is up to talk about technology loans. So we just opened up. So Andy and I are the co-leads this semester. We just opened up the request form last week, Thursday. Any student that needs a laptop, a hotspot, or a MiFi, a laptop, an iPad, or a hotspot, can request one for free. There's no charge. We pay for the monthly internet cost that's affiliated with the hotspot. We will load any required software on the computer. So when you're signing up, it'll ask you what software you may need, what specific software you need for your class. We get that ahead of time. We let IT know, they load it. So when you come pick up the computer, it's already preloaded for you. We have specific days and times that we're distributing technology and collecting technology for those students that were coming to summer school who are not enrolled in the fall. So all of that can be found in the request form. You can reach out to myself or Andy Sins for additional info. Once we verify that the student is enrolled, and this includes non-credit. So even though it shows up as 0 units, we verify non-credit enrollment. They're eligible for a computer. It could be a 1-unit class. They could be taking 12, 15 units. It doesn't matter. There's no questions asked for this. It is for them to use as long as they continue to be enrolled at Mount SAC. So those students that came to summer school and enrolled in the fall, they can keep it. They don't have to return it. It's the ones that aren't enrolled that will return it. All of our new students and any student who never picked up a technology request can now go ahead and sign up. Any questions for myself beyond this presentation? You have my email. Just like on campus, I have an open door policy, so please email me anytime. I'll be more than happy to talk on the phone. I'll be more than happy to Zoom with you one-on-one or as a small group setting. I am here for you, so please let me know. With that, I want to thank you for giving me the time again. I know we're going to have a little bit of time for Q&A. We're going to have some time for breakout sessions. So I will hand it over to Betsabel.
Thanks, Eric. For those of you that don't know, Eric is my supervisor, and we work together in the Equity Center. Eric, we do have some questions for you. We do have some, okay, so I'll just go ahead and get started. Can faculty get a list of all equity efforts, a statement of what they do, as well as contact info, so we can refer students to the right place who need help?
Yes, so we definitely have it on the student services side, and I know there is one created for the instruction side. I'm not sure, to be honest, if we have one whole one that's compact, right? I don't want to say just go to the catalog, or we can create one. We can create one that kind of describes it and who the director or faculty coordinator is. So yes, we will do that. Either find it and modify it or create it based on everything that we have already and get that out through the HSS faculty for them to send out to everybody.
Okay, so I have another question for you. It's, this is anonymous, and it's for Dr. Lara, or I think Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, who is also here. What is the relationship
What was that?
Title V and services and C?
Can you hold on just a moment, Betsabel? We couldn't hear you because someone else is talking. I'm gonna mute everyone, and then please unmute yourself, Betsabel, and ask again.
Alrighty, I'm going to repeat the question, and this is anonymous. For Dr. Lara, or I think Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, who is also here, what is the relationship between Title V and Student Services and C?
So what is the relationship between Title V, Services, and SEEP?
Yes.
So I believe the person said that Lisa is here, so she could unmute and also just give a quick update on Title V. But Title V is a specific grant that we applied for and were given for the campus that has very specific requirements for us to do as a campus. I'll let Lisa go into that detail as she's overseeing it and help write the grant. What relationship does it have to student services? There is no direct relationship where it comes to us overseeing it or having the day-to-day efforts with Title V. That is Lisa in the POD office. But a lot of the different programs that have been written into Title V, and Lisa can give some of those examples, do have student services directors and staff involved with the day-to-day. Some of the workshops that are going to be happening, for example, financial literacy is one that is part of Title V. That is going to be in collaboration with our financial aid office. So we're collaborating. So it's more of a collaboration piece. What does it have to do with SEEP? When it comes to funding, there is no relationship, there's no correlation. SEEP funding is completely separate from Title V funding. Now, are there efforts that are combined or can be and will be combined? Yes, absolutely. One perfect example would be the Student Equity Speaker Series. That is something that in the past was funded out of and coordinated through Student Equity and the Equity Center. Because of how Title V was written up, that is something that can be transitioned to Title V and partnered with Title V. So there's a lot of collaboration. It's separate with a lot of collaboration. And I'll let Lisa give a little bit more details on Title V.
So it looks like Lisa was not able to stay on with us, so she actually won't be able to describe it. If you want to give us just a sentence or two really quickly, Eric, Dr. Lara, that would be perfect.
So I would need to go on the website because I don't remember exactly what the Title V overarching requirement was. If there's anybody here from POD that can give a better definition.
Yeah, we can put the link to the website in the chat right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I could just really quick. This is Tanya. I know a lot of the Title V grant is about faculty professional development also. So for example, the CORA programs that a lot of faculty, managers and staff, really anybody outside can participate in right now, that is being funded through Title V. So Eric is absolutely right. A lot of the funding is very limited in what we can use it for, since the grant was written for specific things.
Thanks, y'all. I'm going to, okay, so we're gonna ask one more question and then we'll go into breakout rooms. And then when we come back, we'll see how much time we have so we can continue asking questions. And I do wanna remind you all that there is an optional debrief after as well. So this question is, Dr. Lara, I think you said you oversee 3 equity programs. What about Aspire? An additional question also asks about what about Pride?
Yes, so Aspire has always been, so I started Mount SAC 4 years ago. And at that time, there wasn't an associate dean of student equity or an associate dean of equity. So my position is brand new. I'm the first person in that position as of 4 years ago. So before then, the 4 programs in the Equity Center were funneled out to different deans and associate deans in student services. Aspire was always and continues to always be under counseling. It used to be under the associate dean of counseling a few years ago, and then it got transitioned to the dean of counseling. And that's just the way it had stayed, just based on how Aspire started. The way the program had started, at the time they didn't have a director, it was more of a coordinator. So because of that, it fell under the associate dean of counseling, and then, as I mentioned, transitioned to the dean of counseling. And it has stayed that way even with my transition onto campus. So I only have the 3 other programs. The Pride Center actually falls under instruction. So when the Pride Center was established, and this was before I got here, it was established through a faculty coordinator, through a specific faculty on campus who started the Pride Center. And because it was created through faculty, it stayed within faculty, it stayed within that division, and it has always remained a faculty coordinator under the instruction side. It has a lot of student services or student service components. They do a lot of programming, they do a lot of the same efforts, and do a lot of the same cohort tracking that we do in EOPS, in Bridge, in Veterans, in Dream, Arise, Reach. It's just where it's housed. It's just where it falls under. It's the reason that I don't oversee the Pride Center.
Thank you. Eric, can you please stop sharing your screen while we transition to breakout rooms? Thank you. One moment. Okay, let's see if it works this time. Uh-oh. Okay, so we will be transitioning into breakout rooms. So
Just wait a second, Betsabel. Just wait a few seconds. Okay.
So our breakout room instructions, you can click on or copy and paste the link to the Google slideshow that has been pasted in the chat. You will be randomly assigned to a breakout room. Please take note of which number breakout room you have been assigned to before you join it. Join your assigned breakout room in Zoom. So on the screen, you'll see a kind of what it looks like when you join a room. And then go to the slide number of your breakout room on the Google slideshow and edit with your group.
Okay, you'll have to give me just a moment. I'm working on the breakout rooms. I have Sandon. Are there any other people that are wanting to stay with an ASL interpreter? Go ahead and type in the chat for me if that's the case.
And the Google Slides are also in the chat, so you can copy and paste to your browser or just click the link.
There is also Bob Robert Augustus. This is the interpreter speaking. It's Bob A. Should need an interpreter. And Robert Augustus is saying, yeah, I'm typing right now. It seems like it's not showing it.
Give me just a second to work on this. I will make sure that we have people in the correct thing. So, okay, Sandon, good. I have Sandon paired. And Selena, could you tell me the name once more of how it's listed on Zoom?
Bob A. It looks like Boba.
Oh, perfect. I got it. Okay.
And also I know another deaf participant is Tina Leonard. I don't know if she'll be involved, but I know the name. I can see it in the group too.
Great. Thank you. One more second here. Okay, I'm going to open the rooms. Again, please note which room number you are in, and you will go to that slide on the Google slide. Make sure you open that Google slide before you go in so that you have the link. Okay.
I think I was sent to the wrong room.
Who do you need to be with, or which room?
I'm one of the interpreters.
Were you assigned a specific room? I'm sorry, I would.
It asked me to join room number 9. I assume that was the room where the interpreter and the other deaf faculty were, but that wasn't the correct room.
Tara, are you? Hi folks, welcome back to our main session. It seems that you all had some great ideas. Thank you for participating. Just want to remind you that the Google form that y'all filled out, the Google Slides, will be available on the HSS website for you all to look through and see what your other colleagues and students had to share. Before we leave, I just want you all to save the date. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, August 18th at 3 p.m. Our speaker is still to be announced, so stay tuned. You can visit the series webpage to submit questions or topics you would be interested in acting on in the next year. And just again, we will have an optional debrief from 4:30 to 5 p.m. If you would like to stay on, please do. You can ask questions or just have an informal conversation with everyone. And with that being said, thank you all so much for coming and taking the time to listen and to participate. And thank you for your questions. And of course, thank you to our speaker, Dr. Eric Lara, for the wonderful information he shared with our campus and also the HSS committee. Thanks, y'all.